Activists are in Jefferson City today asking Missouri lawmakers to have a debate on Medicaid expansion. The group Metropolitan Congregations United is sponsoring that lobbying event. 3 buses left Jefferson City this morning from Brentwood, from the Central West End, and from Wentzville.
Lawmakers heard from hundreds of protesters today at the Capitol. They held signs demanding lawmakers pass Medicaid expansion bill. Missouri is one of about 20 states that didn't sign on to the Medicaid expansion that was part of the Affordable Care Act. ABC 17's Dan Vicinio is live in Jefferson City, and Dan, protesters were actually blocking traffic.
Yeah, Daniel, this was the intersection that they were blocking. They were walking all around this area. Now, all the drivers that were coming through here were not too happy, but these protesters say they were doing it to get their point across. They want lawmakers to expand Medicaid, and they want them to do it this session.
Now! Medicaid!
Hundreds of protesters took to the streets and the halls of the Capitol today. The Missouri Medicaid Coalition says it is a call to action demanding legislators in Medicaid. House Minority Leader Jake Hummel from St. Louis filed a bill back in February that would expand Medicaid, but the bill hasn't made it to the House floor.
We're talking about the people that are the most vulnerable members of our society. And perhaps the GOP should change their initials to the COP and be the cruel old party. But I certainly don't think that the right way forward for the state is to hurt those of us that are the most vulnerable.
Hummel is referring to those people who make too much money from Medicaid, but not enough to get subsidies from the Affordable Care Act. Protesters say they want lawmakers to cover the people that fall into that gap. To get their point to legislators, they blocked traffic and marched around downtown Jefferson City. Most Republican lawmakers say Medicaid expansion will not happen because the state can't afford it. They agree the current system isn't working. They call for Medicaid reform, not expansion.
They have the right to come to the Capitol and speak their piece.
Do you think anything related to Medicaid expansion or reform can come up?
I think we're going to take a look at some reform.
Can you say specifically?
That's part of what we're working on as part of the second half of the year.
The Medicaid bill failed to make it through the state legislature in 2013 and 2014. The protesters tell me today they are hopeful that it will make it through this session. Reporting live in Jefferson City, Dan Vicinio, ABC 17 News.
Thank you, Dan. The Missouri Medicaid Coalition says it will continue to push lawmakers to expand Medicaid.
Also at the Capitol today, a few hundred people rallied for Medicaid expansion. Members of the Missouri Medicaid Coalition marched through the halls and even delayed a Senate hearing. KOMU8's Teague Dooley-Panko explains some of the concerns when it comes to Medicaid.
Do I continue going to the doctor and raising the medical of bills that I cannot afford, or do I just sit and suffer with the pain so that way I can take care of other bills?
It's a question Echo Garrett and other uninsured Missourians may face every day. Garrett joined around 300 other people at the Capitol trying to get lawmakers' attention.
I have seen for several years working in healthcare that there's a lot of people who don't have healthcare insurance, and we don't usually see them until they come into the emergency room or they finally are in our intensive care units.
Debated topic made it to the steps of the Missouri Capitol building today. Hundreds of people went to support the expansion of Medicaid, and marchers even blocked several streets and exits to try to get the attention of lawmakers as they left work. Many say the issue has gone too far, and one uninsured Missourian says every day is a struggle without health care, but some Republicans say we just don't have the money in Missouri to expand the program.
Do I continue going to the doctor and raising the medical cost of bills that I cannot afford, or do I just sit and suffer with the pain so that way I can take care of other bills?
There is a spending element.
The cost of expansion would be covered by the federal government through 2016. Now, the state would have to pay 10% of costs after that. On the Missouri side, hundreds rallied today at the state capitol in Jefferson City regarding Medicaid. They want it expanded despite resistance from Republican leaders.
Meanwhile, controversy over Medicaid coverage led to some large protests today at the state capitol. The Missouri Medicaid Coalition's demanding lawmakers expand Medicaid. They want leaders to cover people who currently make.
The people went to the steps of the Missouri Capitol building today to support the expansion of Medicaid. Marchers even blocked several streets and exits to try and get the attention of lawmakers as they left work. One uninsured Missourian said every day is a struggle without health care.
Do I continue going to the doctor and raising the medical cost of bills that I cannot afford, or do I just sit and suffer with the pain so that way I can take care of other bills?
Republicans